When you're growing in a community space like these allotments, it's very interesting to look around because you see lots of different ways of laying the plots out. Let's just have a look at what we've got. This bed here, for instance, is very much a traditional layout. There's a couple of paths, square blocks of ground. In this case, she's got fruit in them, so she's not digging them over every year. But normally you would dig this, you lay out temporary paths for access to the centre of the beds, plant your vegetables, fruit in it, whatever. Next year, dig it all up again, move on, create temporary paths. This one is a variation on that same thing. Again, the guy digs it every year. He just makes himself temporary access, treads in the soil that he's dug. Those are his paths, and it's his access to his beds. This one's a bit more in the no diggy line. The lady doesn't like digging, so she's created these rectangular beds. Quite a good shape. You can access the centre of the bed from either side of it. Good for working, not too much effort. And this is ours. I've laid these beds out, I'm no dig, so I laid them out fairly carefully, the way I wanted to do it. There is, as you've just seen, no fixed way of laying out your beds. But I just want to run through why my beds are laid out this way and my reasoning behind it. My allotment is a rectangular shape. And it's orientated with its long axis east and west. So the sun rises over there, tracks the sky in that direction, and sets over there. So I've got full sunlight on the plot for most of the day. There's no overhanging trees or anything, so we're in a good position from the point of view of solar orientation. Now I've orientated my beds. My beds are long and thin, and they're permanent structures with paths up the middle. I've orientated them facing north-south. And the reason for that is to maximise, or rather equalise, the solar gain. If you were to think of these canes, and supposing my beds ran that way, and these canes were a row of, say, some tall vegetables, beans or peas or something like that, up the middle of the bed. Now, when the sun rises over there, it will quickly get to a point where this side of the row is getting lots and lots of sunshine. But anything facing this way, this side of the row of beans, permanently in the shade because the sun just tracks over all day. This side will never see the sunshine. The same goes for anything that's planted behind the beans. If it's a tall row, and supposing this was a bed running this way and had another bed, say, running this way, this bed would be shaded by anything growing in that position, shaded more or less all day, which is not great. Obviously, the bed in front would have maximum sunshine, in the sun pretty much all day. But if you're moving things around, every plant needs a certain amount of sunshine, and you're really going to struggle to find something that wants to grow in the shade. So I've planted these beds north-south. Now if I just reorientate the canes, so this now is a row of, again, a tall vegetable growing up the centre of the bed. That might well be the case this year. I'm not sure what I'm going to put into it yet, but it could be something tall. The sun rises over there, and from morning to midday, this side of the row gets the sunshine. Come the afternoon, sun's over there. This side of the row will start to get some sunshine. So both sides, over the course of the solar day, will get sunlight. The same goes for anything that's potentially shaded by the row. This bed here, obviously it would be in the shade for the morning time, but from midday onwards it's going to get the sunshine. Same for bed over there. That'll get the morning sun, not the afternoon. So everything gets its fair share with this orientation. So if you have got a choice, and there are no particular issues with shade, and you're building raised or permanent beds, I would definitely orientate them facing north-south. The other aspect that is worth considering is drainage. Now I'm quite fortunate here in that my ground naturally slopes in that direction. So I've dug my beds in the same direction as the slope of the ground and the paths between them. So any water will run away. Obviously, if you've got a conflict between solar gain and drainage, you have to work out which is the most important to you, and that will depend on your site. But for me, it's worked out quite well. So that's why I've got my beds the way they are and the paths the way they are. Something else that is worth considering when you're designing the layout is you want to be able to reach every part of the soil, but also maximise the area of soil and have as little path as possible. And for me, on a plot like this, the most economical shape, if you can visualise it, was like a set of fingers. Each of the paths goes up, it stops a little bit short of the end. If I just walk up here. So the path stops here. I can still reach every part of the soil, and it's sometimes slightly inconvenient to go around, but it gets me an extra little bit of growing space here, which over the course of the growing season is quite a bit of extra veg. So that's why I've done it the shape I've done it.